Hi, folks. This is Joe Moscato. I'm the host of Joe Talk. Today we have two journalists. One, Roberto Soto, and number two, Jessica Kwong. These are friends. We're going to talk about general topics. We're going to talk about what's on the news today. Whether you like it or not, you have no choice unless you kind of like turned off your TV, turned off your radio, and kind of blacked out your windows. So we'll start with a few minutes from Jessica Kwong. Give us your story. Give us your slant on the news.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me on the show. I've mostly been reporting hard news. Worked at the San Francisco Chronicle, San Antonio Express News, La Opinión, which is a Spanish language newspaper. I also worked at the Orange County Register and also at Newsweek covering national politics. And I've been watching, the Trump administration most recently, and also other news and politics in Washington, D.C.
Now, your experience hasn't tainted you. You're still young. You're still kind of like in the groove where you find this tempting as far as you're concerned, and delving into the truth and just finding out what clicks.
Yes, well, there's a lot of things to report right now. I mean, the country is divided, and, good journalism and just reporting, what we see and doing the best we can is really what's going to inform the country, and especially with the election coming up.
That's good. Now, what can we get from you, Roberto?
Well, I don't know what you're going to get from me, but I'm listening to what Jessica's saying, and I can tell you that I am overdosed with what's going on. And because I am overdosed, I'd like to talk a little bit about some of the platforms that I have launched. There's a platform that you can go to, anyone can go to, and it's free. It has no paywalls. It's called doseofnews.com. And one of the services is called Overdose. And you can go there and read news which is void of Trump. If you've had it with Trump, you don't want to read anything about Trump whatsoever, you go to Overdose. It'll give you the latest news minus Trump. You can also go to arts, you can go to finance, you can go to entertainment, you can go to sports, you can go to all these different topics that may be of interest to you. Dose of News is one of the reasons why I decided to launch this platform, because there's so much going on in the world, and some people don't want to know what's happening in the news, but they are, say, sports junkies, or they are entertainment people. They like entertainment, or someone who works in Wall Street only wants to know about what's going on in the finance world. You can go to Dose of News and find out all this information, and it's a news aggregator, so that information is totally updated 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You read a story, and I suggest if you find a story that you like and you read it, you better finish reading it before you close it, because you may come back to it later and that story is going to be gone because it's constantly updated. The other platform that I started is called News Hooks, and that is a little different because it lets you talk about stories that are in the news that stay there. So it's an aggregator too, but they stay like in a file. So if you want to read a story about Congress, or if you want to read a story about whatever the topic may be, you can go there and find the story, and it'll stay there, which is filed away. And that's basically what the
See, I'm a
platforms
street
are.
person, and what's happened in the street is like I ran out yesterday to get a slice of pizza. P.S. Pizza maker, good friend for 30 years, is a Trumpy. So I had mentioned something kind of negative on Trump that I just watched on TV, and he came at me like a monster, defending Trump. Now, I may go out and I may meet somebody in another store or another street corner who's anti-Trump, and that will be the same in reverse. They will vilify Trump and maybe vilify me for even the possibility that I'm defending Trump. So literally, I go from street corner to street corner to apartment house to apartment house, even on the subway, and I literally need to cover my eyes or cover my ears, and really more important is to cover my mouth, so I won't kind of let out or let anybody know my political affections.
And you know, it's become pretty extreme. I think the most extreme I've ever seen it. So now there's people who won't date someone else because they're Republican or because they're Democrat. I mean, that's pretty extreme. You know, I don't know if I've seen it like that before.
And not only that, but I can speak personally. I have friends and relatives, family members, who have disavowed me because of something that I've said. Let me tell you something. As a journalist, I don't think that it is my job to make excuses for any politician, be it the president or the mayor or a member of Congress. We are supposed to be reporting on what they're doing and what they're saying. We're not supposed to be making excuses for, oh, well, he said that, but he didn't mean it. No, that's not our job. Our job is to report the facts. And what I found, and I'm not going to mention any names because one of my family members may be listening on the internet, I was blocked on the family WhatsApp chat.
Oh.
And when I called a couple of family members and said, did you know that so-and-so blocked me? They said, you're kidding. And I said, why would I kid about that? And it's all about either you are going to believe in what I believe or else you are the enemy. And it doesn't work like that. This is a free country. That's the reason why I'm here. I left Castro's Cuba so that you can voice your opinion freely without having to take beef from your family members or your friends or your neighbors, the pizza
See, the
party.
problem is intensity. Now, you have political views for years and years. I had political views, Jessica did. But now the intensity of the reaction, whether it's pro-Trump or anti-Trump, like a lot of the news stresses that Trump's support is in, Middle West, in the heartland. That's not true. I've got guys who I associate with on Facebook. I was a union rep, and these guys are kind of like my support system when I was working. A lot of them are Trump, and a lot of them have radical, very dogged views about being pro-Trump. And that kind of bothers me because I was brought up in an environment where everything was based on respect, based on listening to people's views, listening to what people said, pro or con, and kind of like staying in the balance. I find this terribly disturbing. I find this even terrifying.
Well, I can't believe, sorry, you were going to say something.
I was going to say that, it's come to the point where, you can't even eat at certain restaurants. Like the former press secretary, Sarah Sanders, she, was chased out of a restaurant. So, I think that it goes both ways. I don't think that, that liberals should be attacking Republicans in public and vice versa. It's just people have their personal lives and, they should be allowed to, I think, go on with their personal lives without being attacked outside of work and whatnot. It's unfortunate. It's what's happening.
And we should not be judged on whether we're anti-Trump or pro-Trump because I myself can honestly say I work for the Republican administration. I was recruited by George H.W. Bush, but I am not a Republican. I have no political affiliation. When I became a U.S. citizen, I made it a point to register as an NPA, no political affiliation. And I've stayed that way. Now, I will call out the Democrats just like I will call out the Republicans. Right now, unfortunately, we have a leader who has been calling himself out for some of his actions. But the fact of the matter is, we're not anti-Trump or pro-Trump. We're all Americans. And we're all pro-America, or at least that's what I am. And I hope that everyone else who's listening, and if you're outside the United States of America, then maybe we're all pro-Earth, pro-Mother Earth, pro-planet. We shouldn't take any make any political divisions.
And I think it gets even trickier when you're a journalist, because then you'll write something about something that happened, and then people will interpret it as you being anti-Trump or pro-Trump. And usually you're just trying to report what happened, right? And then things can change in the news, and then you get pinned to be something that you're not. And that's happening a lot, especially on social media.
It does happen a lot, and I think that it's important for you to emphasize, you meaning all of us, to emphasize that what we are is pro love and pro peace and pro happiness. And for example, today's blog I wrote about celebrating Christmas, but keeping in mind that there are people out there who aren't as lucky as we are,
right,
who don't have a place to stay, and we need to remind folks that it's important to reach out to the Salvation Army or whatever charity organization you'd like to donate to, because we're not all in the same situation, and this country is not going, in my opinion, in the right direction. We've just launched something called Space Force, which is costing billions of dollars, where we could be spending that money for health care for all, or cleaning our environment. Why? We already have an Air Force. We have the largest defense budget in the world. What are we doing spending more money for? That's my opinion.
See, this is all kind of like fluff. It's showing your antagonism towards people in general. That's what Trump likes to do. He talks about the wall. That's inclusive, exclusive. Everything he does is kind of targeted at a group or a philosophy. He wants to rile people up. This is the key to his, the joy in his life is not to bring people together, but to rile them up and separate them. This is
divide and
sort
conquer.
of like his,
That's what it is.
His insanity, in a sense. It just brings people not together, but together to be against each other, because like everything is always a rally, everything is something new, everything is anti this and anti that.
And now we're spending so much money on impeachment, and that's an important thing too. And we have an election coming up, so a big question is, are we going to impeach a president with an election coming up, or let the people decide? I mean, there's a lot of issues going on in America today.
So what I want to say is that we're going to take a little break, and we're going to come back, and then we're going to battle back and forth again, and I really having a wonderful time. So, folks, we'll take a break. We'll be back in a few seconds. Thank you.
Here is my handle and here is my spout.
When I get all steamed up, then I shout.
Tip me over and pour me out. Oh.
It only takes a moment to make a moment.
Cheers.
Take time to be a dad today.
Okay, we're back. Round two. We got our boxing gloves on. We got our opinions on. We have our prejudice on. So we're ready for Battle Royal. I hope everybody will enjoy this segment of the show. I'll start. No, not with me. I'll pick Jessica.
Well, we're continuing to talk about politics, I'm assuming, or
Anything you want.
Great. Well, impeachment is a big issue right now. You know, Trump's been impeached, and we had this discussion from the very beginning that it's a Democratic-led House and a Republican-led Senate. So, the chances of him being impeached are low because of the Republican-led Senate. What are your thoughts on going through this whole process with an election coming up?
Yo creo, I'm sorry, I was going to answer in Spanish.
Spanish.
But, I believe that all the information needs to be out on the table. I believe, I'll tell you this, I hope that the Supreme Court Chief Justice will handle the Senate trial the way that where he says, okay, we're going to allow testimony from everyone. We're going to put all the information out on the table. We're going to have witnesses, those who have refused to come and testify, which means the heavyweights, the Secretary of State, the people in the White House, the National Security Advisor, the folks who have so far kept very quiet, and let America hear what they have to say. And more importantly, or as important, because they're the ones who are going to vote, the Senate is going to have to listen to this testimony and make the final determination. But at the same time, you made a very good point earlier, and that is we're so close to the election that in the final analysis, it's really not the Senate that's going to decide, it's the people of the United States. Now, one caveat, if Mr. Mueller is correct and Russia is ready to become involved in the 2020 election, then we have to keep in mind that right now the systems are not in place to prevent any meddling. So people need to be cognizant of the fact that this may be the most important election that we ever had.
See, the problem with Russian meddling is that they planted the seeds. The seeds are planted in your head into pro-Trump or anti-Trump's camp. And really they don't have to do too much to kind of like sway the election, because one, the impeachment process is also part of their meddling, not the actual impeachment process, but the fact that what led up to it. All this is like fake news, all this is like innuendo, all of this is planted in one way or another. So the Russians have done their job. They've
Yeah.
done a splendid job.
And it's called
because
propaganda.
It's propaganda, and it's confused the people.
But let me add something that I think is important, and I'm glad you mentioned this. There's two news organizations, no offense to Newsweek or anyone else, because I worked for NBC for many years, and Univision, Telemundo, The Voice of America, and I could go on and on and on. There's two organizations that I think are important for our audience to know about, if they don't know it yet. They don't deal or peddle fake news. One is called the Associated Press, which was my employer for over 5 years. I was the AP New York bureau chief, and I can tell you that the AP is solid. Whatever they put on their server has already been vetted and double-checked and triple-checked.
And we always use AP as a marker.
That's it. The
That's
AP is,
released, we go with AP.
And
Yeah.
the other one is Reuters. So if you rely on Reuters and AP, by the way, one is a for-profit company and the other one's a non-for-profit company. AP is a non-for-profit. But both of them have been in the news business for about 180 years, give or take. So each now, we're talking about each organization. This is way before the current president's grandfather got thrown out of his country, or whatever they say that he was running a brothel across the Canadian border. We're talking about when Mark Twain and Ernest Hemingway were working as reporters for this organization. I know this because I worked for them for a while. So I just want to urge the audience, if you want to hear the real deal, there's a difference between news and views, and it changes one letter. Maybe two. But news and views are totally different. When you go to Fox or MSNBC or some of these other, you're listening to someone's point of view.
Views.
If you read AP and Reuters, you're not getting any views. You're getting news. Hard news, it's been vetted.
Right, and then you go to the other outlets because they would add some different angle or some sort of flavor, help you maybe interpret the news. But ultimately, it's supposed to be for the reader or the viewer to make their own decision, right?
Absolutely. You have to become involved, and you have to become engaged. That's why I tell my students, because I'm teaching journalism now at different colleges and universities. It's funny that you mentioned the Midwest, because I taught at Tri-State University, which is in the corner of Ohio, Michigan, and Indiana. And they're very conservative there, but not all of them are conservative. I can tell you that because I was there and I lived there for 2 semesters. I can tell you this, although, when you listen to the opposing point of view, as I do, I will listen to Fox News, and then I'll go back to MSNBC, and then to CNN, and then I'll read the Washington Times, and I'll read the Washington Post, and I get a real mix of views and news. But I know at the end of the day that if I want to check a story I want to know if this story is legitimate, I go to AP, Reuters, or if I have time, I go to both of them. Because once I get both once I see the same story on both platforms, I know the story is legit.
See, the thing now that I see is there's no respect for opinion. Now, I wouldn't consider myself a great Catholic, maybe a lapsed Catholic, or Catholic at all, but I had labor-wise, union-wise, I had a Jesuit education, which taught me you master your opponent's argument better than he masters his own, and you're able to win any case, any discussion, hands over, because you are the best debater. Which meant is that you had to respect his argument. You never, trivialized it. You never downplayed it. You had to respect it. And that was the way I kind of led my life, is that whatever you say, whatever she says, it's important for someone to respect somebody's opinion, even if it's totally different from their own. So this is the way I've always led. And now in this atmosphere where everything is wrong or black and white, it doesn't exist. There's no compromise. This is totally disorienting to me. So it screws up my mind. Hate to use the expression. So that's where basically I stand, because I did a lot of conflict resolution when I was on the job, sitting people down with total conflicting views, and actually a lot of times actually resolve their views and people walking away and kind of glad-handing each other, and kind of solving their problems. Respecting their own views, not changing your opinions, but actually kind of saying, well, I can live and learn. I can live with this person's contrary opinions. I'll still hold my own, but I respect somebody's
Respect and
ability.
tolerance are primary. Once you respect others and let them speak and say the final analysis is, show me the proof. Because you can make all the claims you want in the world, but unless you have proof, that's all it is hot air. And that's what's happened. That's what's missing in today's world, is people are just giving you their opinions and they're not backing it up with facts. This is what I see.
Yeah, that's what you see, and hopefully more people will see it. More people will kind of like, hey, there's a better way of doing it. There's a better way of doing it. And right now, it's frightening to see the animosity and the suspicion that you see, like what I had mentioned. My pizzeria guy is pro-Trump. The guy on the corner and the other store is anti-Trump, and they're vicious in
And do you
their
think
opinions.
this is because of Trump, or it's just where we're
It's
at
be-
as a nation?
It's because of Trump, because he feeds the flames. Now, I'm very, very happy to be here tonight with you two folks. It's been great. There's a lot of issues, people out in the street, in their homes watching. So I want to thank you both, Roberto and Jessica, for being here as
You're
my
welcome.
guest.
De
Thank
nada.
you.
And hopefully we can do this again. Hopefully things will calm down and we can have less serious discussion
Maybe
about
after the
current
election.
events, not all this insanity and madness. So I can say thank you very much. Thank the audience. Thank my guest. And hope we can do this again under better circumstances. Thank you very much.